Hello, divine beings. Let's continue on with this Q&A. So today's question is, what is a spiritual awakening? I'm very excited. I can share now my personal experience, which I've also detailed in my upcoming book, Journey from the Ego to the Heart Center. But I'll give you a snapshot. So for me, my spiritual awakening occurred probably from 2013 and onwards. And the whole reason it started was because my mum passed away very suddenly in 2012. And that shocked me. It literally brought me to my knees. I was so grief-stricken. I had a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I was not coping as a mum. I was snappy. I was a dragon mum. I was just like, ooh, like terrible. And I just had so much anger and resentment built up, and I just remember just losing it constantly, like a little kid having a tantrum. I would literally lose my shit on a regular basis. And I knew it wasn't cool, but I just didn't know what to do with this pent-up anger. And I remember my girlfriend at the time said, oh, let's do this weekend. It was like a coaching institute seminar, and I remember going to that, and I was just in awe at how the speaker expressed, what is our purpose in life, and just giving different options and different things to think about that I had not thought about ever before. And I remember leaving that day and just thinking, I need to do something different. This is just not the way I want to be. I don't like this side of me, this ugly side of me, which was my ego on steroids, literally. And I made a decision that weekend, I need to do something like meditation or mindfulness. And it was when I picked up this book from the library, which was based on how to learn about mindfulness in, I think it was 7 weeks. That book changed my life, and it was How to Practice Mindfulness in a Frantic World by Mark Williams. And I remember by week 4, after getting up consistently every day at 6 o'clock to listen to these meditation guides, I started to notice a shift. I started to become more calm. I could see my anger was brewing, but I was able to sort of change my disruptive thoughts and calm my inner ego and my inner child. I could soothe her. And then things after that started to happen, just from that meditation and mindfulness. That's when the awakening started. I started setting up a new routine. So no longer was I getting up and looking at my phone, looking at the news and looking at what was happening in the world today. I was making a conscious effort to set up a self-care practice. And that was the key. Self-care became my priority, because once I looked after my mental state, my physical, my emotional, everything started to improve. So that's step 1. I had to break old habits and begin new ones that would positively impact my life. The second one was the dark night of the soul, and that's where I actually had to go inward and face the reality of the resentment, the anger, the grief, and soothe it and heal every emotional trauma that there was. So that lasted for a good 12 months, okay? So that's the dark night of the soul, when the ego has to die. You've hit rock bottom. And that's what happened to me. I probably did number 2 first before number 1, but that's what it was happening for me. The year prior, after my mum's passing, I did hit rock bottom. I was just not in the mood to socialize. I was a crappy mom, dragon. I was not at the best, okay? I wasn't showing up. And then the spiritual awakening happened after that weekend, and realizing I need to do something different. I need to own this problem that I'm carrying and let it go and heal it. Then step 3 was I became the sponge. I just wanted to learn. I was just like this avid reader. Every book I could get in the library about mindfulness, soul searching, whatever I could find. I could say I've read probably 100 books by now in the last 10 years. I could easily own that. And I could easily say I've watched hundreds of hours of soul, spiritual, mindfulness, conscious parenting, any topic that was related to self-improvement, self-development, self-mastery. I've done it. I've explored all the different gurus that are out there at the moment. So that was me, stage 3, becoming the sponge and just wanting to absorb as much as I can that resonated with me at the time and unlearn everything that I previously learned. So that old Suzanne literally died and a new one was rebirthed, a new and upgraded version of myself. Number 4, this is the Satori, which is that Japanese word that recognizes let's honor our skills. And this is where I started to go on a journey of, well, what do I want to learn? I learned about Reiki energy healing. I did magnified healing. I threw myself into going to workshops, going on a silent retreat, doing a mindfulness course, like a proper one with a group of people. So you go on the journey. I even ran at one stage self-care retreats with my girlfriend. We started our own business. So we threw ourselves into learning and giving back. Like, how could we share this information with other people? So the Satori for me was like, I honored my skills. I did a past life regression and I discovered that I was a shaman, and then I realized, no wonder I'm so interested in frame drumming. So I did a workshop in frame drumming. So everything that resonated with me, I just said yes to. I just signed up for the workshop, signed up for the course, and I started to hone in on my skills. So I now know my skill set is definitely sound healing. I can do Reiki, energy healing, and then I learned light language as well. So that was another new thing, because as you go up in frequency and as you upgrade and you start to open up your third eye and you start to open up all your senses, you become open to different dimensions. And so that was another thing that changed for me. And so then, as I've done the Satori, after that, I then explored soul sessions. So this was when I just realized, okay, what can I do for my soul? And then I did A Course in Miracles. I did that 3 years in a row. And that also changed my life, because that made me learn how to come back to the divine source, the divine creator. For so many years I'd been running away from God because of my Catholic background, didn't want to own it. It didn't gel with me, the whole religion aspect. But when I did the Course in Miracles, I was just like, this resonates with me. This feels like a channeled energy from the true Yeshua, not the one that's the dogma and that has been manipulated by man to create this rules and things that have to be followed, otherwise you're sinful. That didn't sit with me. The sinful does not resonate with me. I believe that he's he's about forgiveness. And so that was my soul session time, number 5, where I went on self-mastery to hone in on practicing becoming the alchemist. So whenever I was faced with a challenge, I was able to turn it around and bend that reality and work it for my highest good. Okay, so that's step 5. That's hard. You really got to look at and face those adversities head on. And then number 6 is when you can just now sit in awareness of what's going on and just be more present and just enjoy life. That's what I started doing, enjoying life more, going on my walks, simplifying my life, learning to be in silence and okay with that, not having to fill in the space. When I'm with someone, I can be happily in silence. I don't have to be talking to them and feeling like we've got to fill in the space. Sometimes just being side by side is enough. And so that's number 6. It's like when you're just fully present in the moment and you're not having to do, you're just comfortable in your beingness, because that's what human being is, right? And then 7 is sort of like, okay, I'm aware of all these gifts that I have, so how can I share this? How can I be of service? So it's not anymore from the ego, like, oh, I give something to you, you better give something back to me. No, you just do it because you want to help raise the vibration. You want to help others, be of service to them so that they can see the light in themselves. You know, like, it's easy for me now to shine the light because I've been doing this for a while. But for those of you that are just new to this, it's quite scary. It's a lonely journey when you have a spiritual awakening. Unless you've got like a really close friend, or your partner or your husband or wife is on the journey with you. If they're not, it's freaking lonely. So I'm fortunate. My husband is matched to my frequency and he's also on his spiritual journey. So it makes it easy. We can talk, we can engage. But there are many people out there that don't have that they can't feel like they can be their true self. And so that's where, once you get to 7, it's just like, it's like a relief. So that's what the spiritual awakening, and it does come with symptoms. I was pretty lucky. I mean, when I look back, I didn't really have a spiritual flu. Some people get really sick and bedridden when they do like intense courses, like literally their body takes a week to recover. Because you've got to think about it. When you start doing spiritual work, it's an inner software that needs to be upgraded to match your 3D body. So you might get a cold, you might get run down, you might have muscle aches during a spiritual awakening, you might get a foggy mind, like you might be like, and for me, I think with my spiritual awakening, because I've upgraded so much, I can't remember a lot of things. Like my husband and I will go out and we'll be chatting with friends and he'll recall a memory from when I was 20 or 30 and I have no memory of it because I'm so upgraded. That memory is a lower vibration and I just cannot resonate with it. And I'm thinking to myself, where was I? And he's like, you're there. And I'm like, but I can't remember it. And so it's almost like my brain has compartmentalized what's important and what's off my highest good, and everything else has been erased. So I have a lot of memory that has just been wiped out during my spiritual awakening. And not that I regret it, I don't really care, but it's really interesting. I would also say with spiritual awakening, don't be afraid of it. Try and find a supportive friend and a trusting friend that you can open up to, or find your tribe, like try and find people that are also going through it, because there is a lot of people that are going through an awakening. And in my book I talk about how the lens of how you see the world starts to change. So I explain that we have a 3D, which is very matrix, like working 9 to 5. You put on the news, it's always negative, it's a low vibration. You watch these reality TV shows, they glorify 3D. It's all about criticizing, blackmail, putting people down, being rude. That's very 3D. Competitive, fighting over each other's, having affairs. That's 3D, okay? 4D is now when you start to notice the contrast and you know that something's not right. And you start to question your reality, or you see things and you just go, what's going on? Like, this is not right. And you start to go down the rabbit hole. That's 4D, okay? When you can notice the contrast and you question everything, and people might call you a conspiracy theorist, or they might say, oh, what's wrong with you? You're crazy, don't do that. No, trust me, that's part of the spiritual awakening. When you start to see the BS and you notice the veil is starting to drop and you're starting to see the truth. Remember in The Wizard of Oz when the dog found the wizard and he was all behind the curtain? That's what's happening. The curtain has been removed and you're starting to see things for what it is. 5D is a huge jump, because 5D, the 5th dimension, is where you come from, the heart center. And it's where you connect to the Christ consciousness. It's when you activate your 12 strands, okay, your 12 DNA strand. And that's where you start to go, okay, what would Jesus do in this moment? What would Mother Mary do in this moment? And whenever I say that, I just go back into the heart center, because they were non-ego. Like all the ascended masters are in that 5D state of consciousness. They've become enlightened, they've worked through their adversity, they've given forgiveness and compassion, and they're now at this holiness where they just stand in their divine feminine or divine masculine, which is a beautiful balance. It's not either or either, it's very equal, but they just have this sense of like, oh, you just look up to them, like you aspire to be like that. And so 5D is very different from 3D, because 5D is focused on unity, there's no separation, and it comes from a heart center love frequency. Whereas 3D is all about separation consciousness, me versus them, them versus us, religion. It's built on these fake institutions that are designed to make us believe in it. Anything with the ism, they convince us that this is the right thing and you must follow this, and anything outside of that is not worthy. Like, you are the chosen one if you follow this. And so that's the contrast. But when you have a spiritual awakening, you just want to strive for 5D and beyond, because that's when you're in perfect harmony. And you will have tough days. Don't I'm not lying. It's not easy, but you'll be able to handle a lot better, because you've got the skills, you've got your spiritual tools, you've got a steady self-care program, you've got mindfulness. You're able to look within, you're able to close your eyes and acknowledge that this is my false self and it's time to heal it. And that's when you are taking responsibility to heal your trauma, to work on your childhood wounds, and to stop going back to that little girl or little boy, and starting to grow into your adult self that takes responsibility for their actions. So that's a spiritual awakening. It's probably about 7 steps, and they'll just sort of evolve, and you might fall back into one and then you move into the other, but it's a flow, and you'll know when you're there. When you can just wake up going, I am happy to be here, I'm content, I am looking forward to living today and seeing what happens, then you know you've reached the awakening, you've gone through the stages, and you're at the stage where you just want to share and you just want to offer support to your friends, because you're flowing in abundance. And so that's where I am sitting in. I can honestly go, yeah, I'm sitting in 7, I'm doing this for somebody to watch it and go, yeah, I want to go on my own spiritual quest for self-mastery, and I want to journey from my own ego to my heart center. That's what my book is about. It's about journey from the ego to the heart center, which is the journey of my spiritual awakening. So that's it from me today. Thank you, and I'll be back shortly with another Q&A. Bye for now.